Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4 of Chess 333 with Adrian Winter Atwell. Today we're going to be looking at an opening, we're going to be looking at tactics, and we're going to be looking at endgames. Remember, if it is your first time in this channel, make sure and subscribe, hit the bell, and make sure and follow me as well. Now, let's get ready to start. What do I bring for you today? Well, today we're going to start with the Evans Gambit, and for that we're going to travel many years ago all the way to 1829 in London, where William Evans played the Evans Gambit for the first time in his career. So now let's take a look at this game and see what happens. In the game started with the moves e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. Many of you have played this move many times, and at this point comes the Evans Gambit move, which is pawn to b4. The pawn attacks the bishop, and it is black's turn to play at this point, and black takes the pawn. Taking the pawn, of course, is the best move here for black. White plays now c3, black plays bishop to c5, and Mr. Evans played here the move castle. All his pieces are, well, his knight, his bishop is developed, his king is already castled, and he's threatening to play d4 and start attacking the center of the board. Black needs to get ready with his development, so black played knight to f6, and Evans played here the move pawn to d4. Attacking the bishop, attacking the center. Black reacted here in a very interesting manner with the move pawn takes, and then he followed with the move bishop to b6. Now, what is going on here so far, all right? Well, in this position, what happens here is that white has what we call in chess a mobile center. He has two pawns in the center, and these pawns could move forward. This is actually a problem for the black pieces. Evans goes ahead and play the move pawn to e5, attacking the knight, and black replied here with the move pawn to d5, attacking the bishop. Evan took, pawn takes, and then he played the move rook to e1. Notice the idea in this position is to attack the king. Get your pieces out quickly, castle quickly, and attack the king. I keep bringing this attacking chess so you could try it against your opponent. Put them to the test. Black here played the move king to f8. Evans followed with the move bishop to a3, adding more attackers into the game. King goes all the way to g8, and now Evans played a very nice move here, pawn to d5, attacking the knight. Where is that knight going? Doesn't have many places to go actually. Yeah? So here McDonald with the black pieces decided to play the move knight to a5, and Evans continued with the move bishop e7. A very nice move. I really like this move, attacking the queen, making the queen move somewhere that will not be a very nice place. So the queen goes to d7, blocking the bishop, and now Evans played the move pawn takes g7. What is he threatening? Well, he wants to just win a whole rook. So black has no option but to take the pawn. Here, Evans plays the move queen to d2. And with the move queen to d2, he's simply threatening queen to g5, checkmate. Very simple. Simple, easy threat. Black needs to stop this, so he brings his queen with the move queen to g4, protecting the g5 square. Evans now continued with the move queen to c3, checking the king. Behind the king is the rook. Black has to be careful. So black plays king to g8, defending. And now here, Evans has checkmate in 3 moves. A very nice combination. Can you find it, is the question. I will give you a couple of seconds. Actually, what you will do, you could just pause the video, spend some time looking for the combination, white to play, checkmate in 3 moves. If you find it, great. If not, now I have the answer for you. Queen takes rook. check. No other move can be played but king takes queen. And now comes the move bishop to f6, check, freeing this file for the rook. There is nothing to do. McDonald tried the move queen to g7. This might work against a very, very careless beginner that might just take the queen here. But Evans wasn't about taking a queen. He went rook to e8, checkmate, game is over, game is won. First time he played his Gambit, his Evans Gambit, and it was a very beautiful victory. Now, stick around because we have to go to game 2 and game 3 of the Evans Gambit. Okay guys, well, let's get started with game 2. Game 2, another Evans Gambit, this time played by Murphy. Now, let's see how this game went. After the moves e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, guess what is the move? Pawn to b4, Evans Gambit. Bishop took, and now pawn to c3, attacking the bishop. Bishop went back to a5, and white plays here castle. Very simple move. His idea is quick development, and now getting ready to attack. Black played the move knight to e7, trying to develop the pieces, but now white goes with the move knight to g5, attacking the pawn on f7 with both his bishop and his knight. And also, this pays attention because if black were to castle in the position, then white could also play queen h5, attacking f7, attacking h7. It could be very problematic. So in this move, black played the move pawn to d5, attacking the center of the board. Pawn took, and now here, Murphy played the move, black played the move knight takes, capturing the pawn and getting ready to castle. White, on the other hand, didn't want black to castle, and this, when you're playing sharp chess, one of the main ideas is to make sure your opponent doesn't castle. Anytime you're playing chess, if you could find a way for your opponent not to castle and you have a long-lasting attack, go ahead, do that. Why not? So now, knight takes f7, king takes, queen f3, creating a double attack. This will keep the king in the center. Well, it's either you go back, or if you keep the king in the center, that will be at the cost of this knight. I'm attacking this knight as well. So, in this position, black decided to play king to e6 to defend the knight. This move is not good, but let's see how is white planning to exploit this position. Now, white played the move bishop to a3, starting to cut some of the escaping squares of the black king, And now, bishop to b6. White continues now with the move rook to e1. Notice, guys, that in the games that we have looked at of the Evans Gambit, something I want you to notice, the rook always came to e1, the bishop went to a3. Okay, and of course, this bishop will be on c4 from the very beginning. Pay attention where the pieces are placed for you to attack. This is a very good guideline when you are playing the Evans Gambit. Black plays now knight to a5, attacking the bishop, trying to eliminate the attackers, trying to play pawn push to defend his knight. And Evans played the move rook takes e5, not wasting any time in the game. King took, and now pawn to d4, check, attacking the king once more. Black plays now the move king back to e6. That looking like King Arthur fighting in the middle of the board. Can white win this? That's the big question. Now, pawn to g4. I didn't really like this move too much, but black needs to be very good to find a defense here. It is not easy to find a defense here. Black played the move pawn to g6, covering the f5 square, so the queen will not come here with a check, because that was the idea mainly. And this move is just a mistake. White continues with queen to e4, check. Black plays the move king to f7, and now comes bishop takes d5, check. King goes to g7. It looks like the king is escaping, like he's going to be able to run away. But I don't think so. Look at this. Bishop e7, attacking the queen. It's just brilliant. All the pieces are playing. Everyone is contributing in the attack. Rook, pinning the bishop. Well, if you take my queen, I take your queen with my rook. Queen to e5, check. Very good move. Look at this king, abandoned by his own pieces. King goes to h6, trying to run, trying to escape. But now comes g5, another nice check. King goes to h5, and now comes bishop f3, check. What to do here with the black pieces? Well, bishop block, only move. And now came a very quiet move by Morphy. Many people will think here about capturing. I'm going with checks all over the place. But Morphy here plays a quiet move. Queen g3. Simply threatening queen takes bishop checkmate. A simple threat. At least he thought that was the only threat. But here, after the move queen to d7, protecting the bishop, it is white to play. Checkmating one move. Can you find it? If you haven't found it yet, pause the video, look for it, and then come back. The winning move here, checkmate, is queen h3. With queen h3, the king has nowhere to go. The bishop cannot take the queen because it's pinned by the other bishop, and the game is over with another Evans Gambit. Make sure and follow, make sure and play the Evans Gambit. Look at the ideas, learn the moves, learn the ideas, and play the Evans Gambit. Now, since we finished this game, let's go to game 3, because we have a lot of other things to look at as well. So, game 3 is coming up now. Okay, guys, now we are ready to go to game 3 with the move, well, with the game of Cossack against Duvresny. Those very strange names, by the way. But let's go to it, because it is another Evans Gambit. After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. What is the move of the Evans Gambit? Can you remember it? Yes, pawn to b4. After pawn to b4, bishop took, pawn to c3, bishop a5, and now castle, getting ready to start the attack. Black play here the move knight to f6, a different move, eh? Knight to f6, pawn to d4, and castle. Black decided that he have seen too much. He wants his king to be safe. He wants his king to be castled. White played the move pawn takes, and black played knight takes d5. Knight takes e4, sorry. And this is actually looking fine for black. And notice the bar here. The bar shows who is doing better or worst. So if you see it's a lot of on the black side here, meaning that black is doing good. If the white bar is going up, means that white is doing better. Now, yes, but that is according to an engine. But we are humans and we have to play and find moves of our own. So let's see if black could defend properly and if white could create a very good attack here. White played the move bishop to d5, simply attacking the knight. Knight takes on c3, knight took on c3, bishop took, attacking the rook. And when you are playing attacking chess, you cannot just stay with normal moves. You have to take risks, you have to go forward, you have to be willing to attack. White goes knight g5, brilliant move, sending more pieces into the attack. Black plays the move knight takes knight. In this way, he defends this pawn, he eliminates the pawn in the center, and he still have chance to take the rook. White plays now queen to h5, and this is the whole thing about the Evans Gambit, bringing more pieces into the attack. According to the bar, this is not the best move for white, but at the end of the day, black has to find a way to defend in this position. Pawn to h6 is the move, and pawn to h6 apparently is the correct move to defend. What will white do now? Well, white played the move pawn to f4, trying to open the f file. If you take my knight, I take your knight. Is this a bad move? Yes. Apparently, according to the engine, it is a bad move. But can black find his right path in this position? Can he play this position without making a serious mistake? Let's see. He took the rook. Bad move. Very, very bad move. He got too greedy. Pawn takes knight. And what we see here is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces attacking the king. This is not good for the black pieces. Queen to e7, trying to defend, but now comes the move knight takes f7. The knight is guarded by the bishop, by the rook, by the queen. The knight is just very well protected. And black plays the move queen to c5 check. King moves, and he wins the bishop. It looks like black is just going to win the game. He has more material. But when we analyze chess, we realize that it's not about who has more material. Chess is about the king. Be very careful not to have a lot of material and a very, very weak king. Knight takes h6. Very nice sacrifice. What to do with the black pieces? Here, the game is over. There will be checkmate in 3 moves. So let's see the analysis of what happened in the game. In the game, king moved to the side. Knight f5 was played. King moved back to the side. And knight e7 was checkmate. Can black try something different? Can black just take the knight? Let's go back. What happened if when knight took on h6, if black takes the knight? Instead of moving the king to the side, what happened if black takes the knight? Well, this doesn't help actually, because now white has queen to g6, a very nice, simple move, check. King has to move, have no other choice. And then rook takes rook, check. Queen has to block, he has no other choice. And then rook takes queen, checkmate. Game is over. So this was the segment of games of the Evans Gambit, starting from 1829 with the first game of the Evans Gambit played by Williams Evans. Now, let's take a look at tactics. Let's take a look at endgames right away. Okay guys, now we have reached the segment of tactics. And in this one, we're going to be talking about checkmating with the 2 bishops. Having 2 bishops in a chess game is very, very good. The pair of bishop is actually an advantage on its own. So let's take a look at this position. It is white to play and win checkmate. In this case, in 1 move. I hope that you can find it. Can you? I will just give you a couple of seconds, not much, to see if you could find checkmate in 1 move for the white pieces. This one is actually very, very simple. Okay, this is too easy. So the move here is bishop to g2. Bishop to g2 attacks the king with a check. The king cannot move to the side because the other bishop is covering that square. So that is checkmate. This is the pattern that we're going to start today. So we have 2 more exercises with this pattern. So memorize this pattern and let's see if you could find the checkmates in the other exercises. Let's take a look at them right away. Okay, let's start looking at exercise number 2. In this one, again, the checkmate will happen with the 2 bishops. And it is white to play and win checkmate in 2 moves. Can you find the checkmate here in 2 moves? Okay, I guess that is enough time. Well, this one is actually not that difficult. I hope that you found it. If not, you could always pause the video, give yourself a little bit more time, and see if you could find the checkmate in 2 moves. White here sacrifices the queen with the move queen takes rook. Pawn takes, bishop takes, and it is checkmate. Game is over. Let's go now to the position of the 3rd exercise. Okay guys, now we are on puzzle number 3. It is white to play and win. White has checkmate in 2 moves. Can you see how can white win in 2 moves? Is it that easy? Well, I will give you some time to see if you could find the solution for this exercise. Let's see. Well, if you haven't found it yet, make sure you pause the video, give yourself some time, all right? Don't rush, give yourself some time, give yourself 5 minutes, give yourself 10 minutes, and try to find checkmate in 2 moves for the white pieces, okay? Remember, we are training here, so don't take the easy way out. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes until you find the solution. If after 10 minutes you cannot find the solution, look at the answer. And the answer is queen takes f6. Brilliant move. The queen is defended by the bishop through this bishop, like an x-ray. And now, bishop will take the queen, bishop takes bishop, and this is checkmate. Game is over. So now that we have finished with the tactics of the checkmate with 2 bishops, let's go to endgames. Hello guys. Well, we have reached the area of the endgame. And here, this segment of the endgames is extremely important. I know it will take a little while, but this is for players that really want to get results in tournament, players that want to win critical games in tournament and in competitions, and also for those who want to acquire more knowledge. Please pay a lot of attention to this segment of endgames. This might be actually more useful than everything we saw before. So let's go right ahead. In this position, imagine you are playing with the black pieces. Remember, you start from number 8, okay? And after the whole battle, your opponent has a king about to queen his pawn on g8. But it is your turn to play. Can you stop that pawn? Yes, you can. But how? What is the technique? In this position, white will always try to push his pawn and turn it into a queen. And you have to be very precise to stop that. So let's see how black does it. Let me tell you what are the ideas, all right? So idea number 1, and it's very simple. You're going to use your queen to check this king and force this king to go in front of his pawn. When he goes in front of his pawn, you step with your king. You make 1 step with your king. And so on, you repeat it until you get your king close enough to the pawn to checkmate the enemy king. That is the plan. I will show you now the technique to achieve it. So now, black start with the move queen to f5. Check. It is very important to check the king. Remember, if you leave the king make a move, you will just turn that pawn into a queen and it will just be a draw. King moves to the side. We attack the pawn because we want to capture it. King comes to defend the pawn. We check the king and the king has to hide. That is the technique. What you have to do is repeat that technique through the whole set of moves. So you advance your king. You will move the king to the side, trying to promote his pawn, and you repeat the same. Check, attack, threatening to put your queen here and win the game. He wants to promote the pawn, you pin the pawn. He wants to promote the pawn, you check him, he hides in front of the pawn, you bring your king. And so on, you are going to be doing it over and over until you bring your king close to the enemy pawn. He's always going to try to promote his pawn into a queen. You keep stopping it, and then you bring your king and you checkmate the enemy king. It will take a lot of moves, but once you have the technique, you will get it easily. Make sure you go through this game over and over and understand the ideas. It's about understanding the ideas. So if your opponent has a pawn on the 7th rank and it is a knight pawn, like in this case, like a G pawn or a B pawn, it's supposed to be a very easy win for the person with the queen. But you need to remember this technique. Let's go to the second position. Okay, let's go with the second position. In the first position, we had a B pawn and the a G pawn, and the G pawn will work as well as the B pawn. Okay, so notice those G pawn or B pawn, those are knight pawns, and once they are on the 7th rank, If it is your turn to play and they do not get to promote, you will win. The central pawns, like the D pawn and E pawn, is the same thing, okay? You should be able to win once the pawn is on the 7th rank. You should be able to win with the same technique. So again, we check the king, we attack the pawn, don't let that pawn turn into a queen. We check the king again, we attack the pawn, we check the king, we attack the pawn. When he continues to protect the pawn, here comes the critical important check. Here. If he moves to the side, we win the pawn. He has to hide in front of the pawn. That is the technique, okay, guys? And then you continue repeating this technique. You check the king, you attack the pawn, you check the king, you bring your king. Okay, you need to be bringing your king. The queen alone does not win this, and just checking like crazy is not going to win it neither. You have to check the king in a way so the king is forced in front of the pawn so you could bring your king. Remember, attacking the pawn is very critical in these positions. Once you are attacking the pawn, the king has to come to protect the pawn, and then you check him right here. Notice this check is very important, forcing him to go in front of the pawn, and then you bring your king. You will continue doing the same, and you continue bringing your king. Here, I brought my king one time, and then this is check. You brought my king one more step, and then checkmate. So remember, central pawns or knight pawns, once they are on the 7th, if you have your queen, you will win. Don't let that pawn promote to queen. You have a won game. Also, if you are the person with the pawn and you thought, oh, I could just draw the game because I will promote my pawn even though it's his turn, be careful, because in that case, the game is totally lost. But now, I will show you 2 examples that the games are actually drawn. And this happened with the rook pawns and with the bishop pawns. So for bishop pawns and rook pawns, if they are on the 7th rank, then you should be able to draw the game. Let's look at those examples now. Okay guys, welcome to Endgame 3. Let's take a look at the example of the 3rd one. And in this one, it's a draw. Black cannot win this endgame. So imagine you are playing with the black pieces. You thought, okay, I will use the same method and win. Well, if white knows what he's doing, the game is a draw. This is why I say these endgames are extremely important for you to pay attention to. So let's see if the normal technique will work here. So black starts with the move queen to g3 check. King moves to the side, threatening to promote the pawn to queen. Queen attacks the pawn. King comes to g8, to g7, sorry. Queen check. King moves to the side. Queen attacks the pawn. This is the technique that have been played over and over. The king protects the pawn, and then we had this brilliant check to force the king in front of the pawn and then bring our king. This was the idea. Move your king there, and I step up with my king. However, this doesn't work in this position because white simply played king to h8. And with this subtle move, black never get the chance to bring his king. Anytime you try to bring your king, I will turn my pawn into a queen. And the problem here is that you cannot take the pawn. If you take the pawn, then it's a draw by stalemate. So remember, the idea here is to actually let go of the pawn. At the same time that we're threatening to promote the pawn to a queen, we let the pawn go. If they take our pawn, then the game ends up in a draw. So remember, bishop pawns on the 7th rank, once this king is far enough, because if it is extremely close, then the game will be over. But once the king is very far and it cannot checkmate you, then this game will end up in a draw only. Let's take a look at the other example where the game ended up in a draw. So remember, bishop pawns, that meaning a pawn on f7, a pawn on c7, a pawn on c2, a pawn on f2. Those pawns, if once you have them and it's the last pawn, you should be able to draw the game if they are on the 7th rank. Let's now take a look at the example with the rook pawns, with something similar happens. Okay, so let's take a look at the example with the rook pawn. Now imagine that you are playing with the white pieces, okay? So you're playing with the white pieces, your king has reached to g7, all you have to do is push the pawn, turn it into a queen, and it should be a draw. And in this position is actually a draw. Black could try to stop you from doing that with the same technique, but it doesn't work. For example, queen check, make sure that you don't let that queen get in front of your pawn or you will lose the game. So you move your king, always threaten to promote your pawn to queen. That's the idea. Always threaten to push that pawn and turn it into a queen. Black would try check, you move up, check, you move down, check, you move to this side. And the whole thing here is that the king is on stalemate. Notice the king cannot come out, the pawn cannot advance. So if he tries to bring the king, it will be stalemate. So he will have to keep checking you, and you keep hiding. And there is no checkmate. For example, if you play queen here check, you always could come out. There will be no checkmate at all. And with this setup, the game will just end up in a draw. So things to remember. Rook pawns and bishop pawns on the 7th rank is a draw. Central pawns and knight pawns is a total loss position. So remember those little nuances for the next time you are playing a chess game. Come back, review this video, and try to make sure you become an expert in this matter. Learn it well. Well, guys, we have reached the end of this segment. Now, what I want you to do, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button and comment if you got all the exercises correctly. Bye-bye.